I hacked my cheating wife's hidden burner phone, exposed her double affairs, divorced her, and destroyed the lives of her affair partners forever. A while back, I found her burner phone. We had switched internet providers, and our new modem came with an app to manage the network and connections. It was unreal how many devices we had connected to the Wi-Fi. One night, while playing with the app, I noticed an Android phone connected. We both have Apple devices, so at first I thought someone had guessed our Wi-Fi password. I changed the passwords, but the Android phone reappeared a few days later. One day, while working from home, I noticed the Android phone disappeared when my wife Cindy went to work. When she got home that evening, the Android device returned. I finally got a chance to look through her car and her purse, but came up empty. That night, while she was in the shower, I went through her gym bag and found the burner phone tucked away in her briefcase. I didn't have time to look through it, so I put it back. The next time she went to the gym, I looked for it, but it was gone. The following night, I found it again in her briefcase. This time, I took it and tried to unlock it, but none of her old passwords worked. I decided to take the phone to a repair place down the street to see if they could unlock it. I had to confess the real reason for wanting to access the phone, as I'm a terrible liar. The tech felt sorry for me, I guess, and an hour later he called to say he was finished. He backed everything up to a thumb drive, which I read when I got home. I saw all the pictures and texts between Cindy and two different men over the last 9 months, including graphic discussions about their hookups. 6 years of marriage went up in smoke. I thought I was having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe and just sat there at the computer, staring at it all. After about an hour, I felt better and realized it was probably a panic attack. When Cindy got home, she was very anxious, wandering around the house, obviously looking for her phone. I asked if she was okay, and she said she had lost some papers from work and needed to find them. I offered to help, but she said she would find them herself. I got her back into the kitchen, pulled out the burner phone, and asked if this was what she was looking for. She had that deer-in-the-headlights look, with panic starting to rise. I said there could be only one reason for her to have a second phone in her briefcase, and asked if she was cheating on me. She denied it. I said, "Fine, then give me the password so I can see for myself what's on it." She tried to turn it around, accusing me of invading her privacy. I handed her the phone and said her response proved my suspicions. I sat down on the sofa, felt the hot flash again, and started to cry a little. When she saw my tears, she softened and said it was only once, that she felt guilty and had cut things off. I opened the file on my tablet, handed it to her, and asked, "Only once?" She kept saying she was sorry, that it wasn't my fault, and that she wanted to stay together. I told her I needed space to think, and that we needed to separate while I decided how to move forward. She disagreed, saying we needed to talk it out. So I started asking questions. Married coworkers. How did they meet? Where did they hook up? What kind of sex did they have? What did she do with them that she hadn't done with me? Were they bigger than me? Did she use protection? Finally, she said, "Enough," and that she couldn't do this anymore. She asked how long I had known. I said I found the phone a week ago but didn't see what was on it until today. I told her I was still in shock and needed time to process it all. She agreed to spend the rest of the week at her sister's house and we could talk more that weekend. She wanted to schedule a session with a marriage counselor the following week, and I agreed to that. I didn't tell her I would be consulting an attorney the next day to explore my options. Last Christmas, Cindy's sister got divorced after finding out her husband was having an affair. There were several family discussions about cheating at her parents' house and how low her ex-brother-in-law was for betraying his wife. I can't imagine what was going through Cindy's mind sitting there just as guilty. The thought of leaving her kills me, but I don't think I could ever forgive her or trust her again. We had been talking about having kids, but I'm so glad we were still waiting. New info and to-do list. I showed my text collection to my attorney, and he is proceeding with the divorce filings. He gave me a worksheet of things I need to do in the meantime. All my medical tests came back negative. I met with the first affair partner's wife this afternoon and gave her hard copies and a thumb drive of the evidence. I showed her the pictures they had traded. She's not going to confront him until he is served. I also met with Cindy's sister, not the one she's staying with, but the one who recently divorced her cheating husband. I showed her the most damning texts and let her see what Cindy had sent to her affair partners. She was angry and, at the same time, a little sad. She apologized to me and said she had no idea what her sister had been up to. If she had, she would have told me. The meeting with Cindy's sister was harder than I expected. We sat in a quiet coffee shop, and as I handed her the thumb drive, her hands trembled. She'd been through her own betrayal, and I could see the pain resurface in her eyes as she processed what her sister had done. She asked me how I was holding up. and I admitted that some days I felt like I was drowning in anger and sadness. She shared her own story of rebuilding after her divorce, how she had to rediscover who she was outside of her marriage. It was strangely comforting to talk to someone who understood the sting of betrayal, but it also made me realize how far I still had to go. She promised to support me, even if it meant confronting Cindy directly. That conversation gave me a small sense of solidarity, like I wasn't entirely alone in this mess. I'm sure I'll hear about her sister when Cindy comes to the house tomorrow to get some of her things. She wants to sit down and talk, probably about how we're going to move forward. This may be my last entry here, but I may post a separate update later if needed. Community response. Someone suggested informing Cindy's sister and family before she has a chance to do damage control by accusing me of something. They also advised gray rocking her while I consult an attorney and get an STD test. Another commenter said, "Well, isn't it ironic? Upgrading your internet connection not only boosted your download speed but also unveiled a whole new world of connections you never bargained for. Who knew your Wi-Fi upgrade would come with a side of detective work? It's like the universe decided to gift wrap a trail and deliver it straight to your modem." Next upgrade on the list, a firewall for your heart and maybe a subscription to a free streaming service. At least you've got a solid connection with your attorney and doctor now. Priorities, right? Update, I found a burner phone in my wife's briefcase. I got a phone tech to hack into it and discovered that over the last 9 months, she had 2 affairs. When I confronted her with the phone, she denied having an affair, then said it was only once until I showed her copies of her texts and photos. I told her I needed space to process this, and she has been at her sister's house all week. She wants to reconcile and go to couples therapy to help us get past this. Since she's been gone, I've decided to file for divorce and have a lawyer working on it. Her first affair partner was married, and I reached out to his wife, sharing the texts. She is now starting divorce proceedings as well. One of Cindy's sisters recently got divorced due to her husband's infidelity, so I shared everything with her too. Cindy came over to the house last night to get some things and to talk. She said she was sorry for hurting me, that she's still very much in love with me and wants to stay together. She said her affairs were never about the quality or quantity of our sex life and asked if I felt my needs were ever neglected. Our sex life was pretty spicy. We averaged 4 to 5 times a week, and she initiated half the time. She said she enjoyed experiencing sex with other people and being showered with attention. She's willing to go to therapy to find out why she desires this and to become a better partner. She even suggested I could have a pass to explore or get even by dating another woman, and if I liked it, we could consider an open marriage. I told her that was not something I'd ever be interested in. She said she missed me and wondered if I was ready for her to come home, even if it meant sleeping in the spare bedroom for now. I said it still felt too soon and that we might need more time. I didn't tell her I'd filed for divorce. She should get served sometime next week, according to my lawyer. We had a couples counseling session scheduled for Wednesday, which I'll have to cancel. Besides her betrayal, our views on our relationship are miles apart, making reconciliation impossible. Cindy was a little upset when her sister ambushed her about her affairs, but she figured it was coming. I guess her whole family knows now, and her parents are upset with her too. This morning, a few of our mutual friends stopped by to check on me and tried to encourage me to give Cindy another chance. I asked how much they knew and brought them up to speed, showing them the phone and its contents. Needless to say, they were previously misinformed and now embarrassed. The visit from our mutual friends left a bitter taste. They had known Cindy longer than me, and I could tell they were torn. One of them, Mark, had been my friend since college, and I thought he'd have my back. Instead, he started talking about how marriages go through rough patches and how Cindy was probably just confused. I showed them the explicit texts and photos, and their faces changed. Mark went quiet, and the others mumbled apologies. It stung to realize that even my closest friends had been swayed by Cindy's charm before they saw the evidence. I felt a mix of vindication and isolation as they left, promising to support me going forward. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing more than just my marriage. My social circle was fracturing too. Community response, one commenter said, "You're modeling how to do things the right way." That's rare around here, especially the self-respect aspect. I bet your soon-to-be ex will move in with some sucker within 6 months. Another noted, besides the betrayal, our views on a relationship are miles apart to even consider reconciling. I'm sorry, but it seems like you never really knew your wife. She never revealed her true self to you. The deception is insane. Keep that ball rolling. As for your friends, they should support your decision, not encourage you one way or the other. Why would they believe Cindy, the lying cheater? Embarrassment warranted. I replied, as for why they believed Cindy, It's easy to believe someone you know when you don't know the whole truth. She's spinning her own narrative and leaving out the facts that make her look bad. Another community member added, "This is why you need to divorce her. If she really wanted to work on things, she'd be open, honest, and transparent. But she's lying and minimizing what she did to you and others. Her wanting to work on things is about her, not you. It's about what she can get out of it. She wasn't and still isn't thinking about you, only herself." One last thought from the community. It always amazes me when a wayward wife is caught, not confesses, and suddenly suggests therapy, saying they can change and do anything to stay together. Where was that enthusiasm to fix the marriage before they cheated? She says her affairs were never about your sex life, but rather her need to be with others. Really? As if that makes you feel better. I hope you speak sarcasm now. She wants to get back together like that need would just disappear. Stay the course. She's ridiculous. Hopefully she'll get therapy and do better in her next relationship. This one is broken beyond repair. Any so-called friends asking you to reconsider? Ask them if you can sleep with their wife, and if they'd stay with her after. If they say no, tell them to shut up. They have no idea. I like that you know you deserve more and have enough self-respect to walk away from someone who thinks so little of you that they'd cheat and expect you to sweep it under the rug. Another commenter quipped, "Cindy's really pushing for that couples therapy, huh? It's like she's auditioning for the Bachelor Marriage Counseling edition. She's got the drama, the multiple partners, and a supportive audience of friends who missed the part where she cheated. Maybe she could find a therapist specializing in, 'Why did I think this would work after cheating 101? Meanwhile, you've booked your tickets out of this reality show. Good call in keeping your self-respect intact and not auditioning for her sequel, Cheating Wives of Whereverville. Stay strong." Update 2. My post triggered a spam bot, but the third time's a charm. It took the process server 3 attempts, but at 2:15 in the afternoon, Cindy was finally served at her office. I was surprised it took her an hour to call me. She was upset and I told her it was a simple power exchange. She had all the power before, and now I've taken it back. I asked her what she thought would happen if she got caught and if that's why she got a second phone. She still wants to work things out and I agreed to go to counseling with her, if only to get answers to my questions. At least our insurance covers most of the therapy costs. I have little desire to reconcile, but I'm playing along until the divorce is finalized. Community response, one person noted. It took her an hour to call you? In that hour, she was probably communicating with her affair partner. He turned her down, so she wants to reconcile. Play the long game for your best interest alone. She had no concern for you when she was cheating. I replied, her current affair partner couldn't afford to keep her. He's not a high earner and definitely can't sustain her lifestyle. She's always wanted to stay with me. Another commenter said, she's always wanted to stay with you? Just words. If she really wanted you, she'd give you the full truth, write a timeline of her affairs, and agree to a polygraph to back it up. She wants to keep her lifestyle, not you. I was you 18 years ago. My lying, cheating ex-wife's affair partner couldn't afford her. She was greedy, selfish, and materialistic. 3 months after she moved to be near him, he dumped her. She tried to come back to me, but that was a hard no. She didn't want me, she wanted her lifestyle. I wanted a partner who actually wanted me. Stay on the divorce path. You won't get the full truth from her. Cheaters lie and minimize. At least now she's facing the consequences of her choices. And I'm reclaiming the power like a boss. Who knew marriage could come with a tutorial on power dynamics and divorce court as the final exam? I'll keep playing along with the counseling. It's like an advanced course in grinning and bearing it until the judge bangs the gavel. Confronting the affair partner, I had a bit of fun today after work. I stopped at a downtown restaurant and had a drink at the bar. It was before the dinner rush and pretty slow, so I had a long chat with the bartender. I told him I recently found out my wife had been cheating with 2 different men for the last year. I mentioned that the first affair partner was married, and that I had met with his wife, giving her copies of all the evidence I collected. She had suspected he was unfaithful but never found proof. She plans to use what I gave her to take him to the cleaners, but she won't confront him until he's served. The bartender asked about the second guy. I said he was single, and I hadn't decided what to do about him yet, but I'm a big believer in karma and not afraid to help karma out if needed. He laughed and said that was a good one. I finished my drink and gave him my credit card to tab out. He froze when he saw my name. I said, give my regards to Cindy, my wife, and be seeing you, Kevin. I've never read anything more satisfying in my life. There's nothing like dropping a truth bomb with your cocktail. At least I got to enjoy my drink and serve some spicy karma while leaving Kevin with a frozen grin. Who knew happy hour could double as an episode of Revenge on the Rocks? Bravo! Update: I shared emails and pictures with the wife of affair partner number 1. She surprised him with divorce papers last week. I confronted affair partner number 2 at the restaurant where he works, telling him I knew everything and that I'd be seeing him, my favorite John Wick line. 2 days later, affair partner number 2 got fired from his job. Just karma, I had nothing to do with it, I swear. I told Cindy's sister, who was recently cheated on, about her sister's shenanigans. Divorce papers were served to my soon-to-be ex-wife. Credit cards are canceled, and bank accounts are separated at my request. She didn't attend a birthday party for one of my friends this weekend and was uninvited to our friend group's annual Memorial Day barbecue. Yesterday, we had a couples counseling session. It started with her ripping into me for costing her affair partners their marriage and job, respectively. I said I had nothing to do with Kevin losing his job but have no sympathy for either of them due to their role in wrecking our marriage. When I asked how she knew all this and if she had been in contact with them since we split, she deflected, saying they reached out to her. I asked to see her phone to confirm, but she refused. I said, I guess we're done then, and stood up to leave. Our therapist tried to smooth things over and get us talking. I asked why she cheated and how she met her affair partners. She gave a well-rehearsed answer I didn't believe and won't dignify by repeating. But she was very contrite, complete with tears about wanting to reconcile and save our marriage. Of course, she wants to move back in while we work on fixing our relationship. Our therapist was fair and didn't take sides. She asked me what I needed to move forward. I gave her a list of 5 things: a full account of the affairs, where they met, how often, all details with nothing held back, a list of friends and relatives who knew of the affairs when they were happening, full access to her phone tonight before we leave, a full apology and confession of the affairs on her social media accounts, including the names of her affair partners, and, once the divorce is finalized, I'd go to therapy with her again to see if we have a relationship left to salvage. After much back and forth, she agreed to everything except numbers 3 and 5. I conceded number 3, but said she needed to retain a lawyer and respond to the divorce papers as soon as possible. I told her she killed the marriage when she decided to cheat, and that had to be resolved before we could move forward. This afternoon, she posted her apology and confession to her social media accounts, complete with her affair partners tagged. I haven't heard from her since our session, so I don't know about the other items. I also got word that her attorney reached out to mine to arrange a meeting for next week. The social media post was a bombshell. I didn't expect her to follow through, but when I saw it, my phone started buzzing with notifications from mutual friends and distant relatives. Some were shocked, others angry, and a few reached out to check on me. One old friend from high school sent a long message about how he'd gone through something similar and offered to meet up if I needed to talk. I appreciated the gesture, but I wasn't ready to dive into those conversations yet. The post also sparked a heated argument in the comments, with some of Cindy's coworkers defending her and others calling her out. It was chaotic, but I felt a strange sense of relief watching her face the public consequences of her actions. Still, the weight of it all lingered. Every time I thought I was moving forward, something, a text, a memory, a random photo on my phone, pulled me back into the hurt. Final update: we met with the lawyers earlier this week, and I was pleased with the settlement for the most part. She agreed to give me the house in exchange for assuming $111,000 of credit card debt. I had told her that if we had to sell the house, I'd be moving to another city, and reconciliation would probably be off the table. I did have to commit to 3 more couples counseling sessions under the pretense of working on an open relationship. She wants to move back in soon, but I said I needed more time with my personal therapist before I'm comfortable with that. All that matters is that she signed the settlement agreement, and after a short waiting period, the divorce will be final. Thanks for everyone's support and advice. This will be my final update. Once the divorce is final, I'll follow one suggestion to let her read these posts and realize the player got played. The weeks following the settlement were a blur of paperwork, therapy, and quiet nights alone in a house that felt too big. I started seeing a personal therapist to sort through the anger and betrayal. In one session, I realized how much I'd been carrying, not just Cindy's infidelity, but the weight of trying to be the perfect husband, always anticipating her needs while ignoring my own. My therapist helped me see that I'd been living in a marriage where I was never fully seen, not because I wasn't enough, but because Cindy was chasing something else entirely. It was a hard truth, but it gave me permission to start rebuilding myself. I also reconnected with an old hobby, photography, that I'd set aside during our marriage. I spent weekends hiking local trails, capturing sunsets and landscapes, finding solace in the silence of nature. It was during one of these hikes that I ran into Mark, my college friend who'd initially sided with Cindy. He apologized profusely, admitting he hadn't understood the depth of her betrayal. We talked for hours, not just about the divorce, but about life, dreams, and the people we wanted to become. It was the first time in months I felt a spark of hope, like I could build a life that wasn't defined by this pain. Cindy, meanwhile, moved into a small apartment across town. She reached out a few times, asking to meet for coffee or to check in. I kept my responses short, sticking to logistics about the divorce. In our final counseling session, she broke down, admitting she'd been chasing validation outside our marriage because she felt trapped by her own insecurities. It was the most honest she'd been, but it was too late. I told her I wished her well, but that I needed to move forward without her. She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and for the first time I saw her not as my wife, but as a stranger I'd once loved. As the divorce date approached, I started planning a trip, a solo adventure to a place I'd always wanted to visit. It felt like a way to mark the end of this chapter and the start of something new. I also began volunteering at a local community center, helping run a support group for people going through breakups and divorces. Sharing my story and hearing others helped me feel less alone, and it reminded me that healing is a journey, not a destination. Ah, the sweet symphony of karma, divorce papers delivered like a surprise pizza, job terminations served like a cold dish of revenge, and social media confessions sprinkled with a dash of vindication. I love when everyone gets what's coming to them. Cheers to turning life's lemonade into a lemon-scented disaster zone. Do you have a similar story with an epic shaken, not stirred cocktail moment? Share it with us in the comments below, and thank you for joining us today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.